Great. And finally, after country come the people that make everything possible, let us please give our gratitude to our members, corporate members, partners, special partners, all of whom made everything that we do today and for us. For those of you who are joining us 2 weeks later through our social media, welcome. Good morning. MAC, ABCD, MAC, Agribusiness Partnership with Philippines is a member supported non-profit organization, and we are only here to support them interested in joining us as a member and being a wide network and individuals. Consider sending us an email introducing yourself at register MAP. So, without further ado, I'm sure today's topic is of much interest to our members this morning. And so I'd like to invite our president, Mr. Ernie Ordonez, to introduce our speaker. Ernie, please.
Thank you, Julius. I've introduced a lot of people because I'm very old already. But this fellow, I'm a little nervous. Do you know why? Because I admire him so much. I think I may not give him justice, but I'll try. He was in the start of Alianza Agricultura in 2001. And throughout has been so consistent and so great, so that, in fact, I wrote a note to all of you that this is one of the best guys around. And what you see, right? He's a farmer, he's a processor, he's a businessman, and he's an activist in the sense that he wants to move to help our people, especially our farmers. Farmer, he does livestock or all kinds of things. Processor is not only a processor, he put up 2 huge corn processing centers. And he doesn't just do processing, he does it with environmental aspects. So actually, if you notice the corn dryers, some of them have what you call biomass. And he was one of the originators for that, right? And then he's a businessman. Well, he founded Philma, the biggest corn, the only large national corn organization. And his friend, the president, Roger Clark, is here with us. I'd like to say that, other than all of this, he is a businessman, complete businessman. He does everything. And he founded the business chamber, right? So he's got everything: farmer, processor, businessman, activist, Philmais, right? Actually, not only the found Philmais, but he put into Philmais a nationalistic, self-reliant, socially just industry. So I said I'm a little nervous because this guy is so good. I may not do justice, but I think you'll be even more impressed when you hear him. I'd like to let you know that we'd like him to share a few minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Rod, about his life. We want to connect Rod personally to the speakers. Tell us, Mr. Moderator, can you mute the others, please? Okay, basically that we've asked him to share a bit of his life and how he got into this and why he's so passionate about helping farmers, and then he can go into his talk. Also, most importantly, we like to remind ourselves that, like Bernie and our deceased chairman, Ramon Osorio, we're here not just to be educated, but we want to, as Ramon Osorio said, we're here not only to transfer technology and learn, but to see what we can do to use the learnings from this forum to improve the lives of people, actually help eliminate poverty. And corn is in the center of that poverty equation. So Rod, we'll ask you towards the end to say how we can help you. And of course, if you can help us, right? Spread the word. We need your guidance. So on that note, I'd like to say that I am pleased, privileged, extremely happy because he scheduled something and to postpone, he scheduled another thing. And then when we gave him a date, he moved his other schedule to accommodate us. So we really appreciate this. So Rod, you know highly respect you. I saw in APEC forums you can stand with the best of the world. I've seen that when you speak. So speak to us simple people, but we simple people want to help your mission. And I think God gave us a different kind of background, right? Gave us a business background. So we have some connects with banks, etc., etc. So we like to help in this regard. They're about I saw Fund 500 because aside from this, I like to let the audience know this is shown for free 2 weeks later, and I saw about 500 in a forum, and 70% is Philippines, but thanks to our chair and his new board, all of whom are 45 years and below, right? Except me, I'm the old guy. They have really spread it. So it goes to Middle East, Southeast Asia, America, Canada, etc. So it's spread a lot, and we have people with us to help that. So on that note, I'd like to introduce a fantastic guy, and I hope I can call him a friend, because he's been with us through thick and thin. Ron Biocco, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Ernie. Can you hear me well?
Very well, Rod. Very well.
Okay, so I transferred to our chat room, no? So to hopefully the system is better, no? Thank you, Ka Ernie, no? Salamat sa pag-introduce mo. It's so superfluous, but I'm not used to it, no? Thank you also to the Management Association of the Philippines for giving us the opportunity here in NFA, to bring about publicly our programs. Actually, this is our first public engagement. And just so happened that we're very honored to do this public engagement with MAP. No? As you know very well, we've been exercising some media silence, and since I assumed office last January 18, there's so many things that we needed to do, and we focus on this task within our organization, and and since then, actually, I haven't gone public, with our program. So maybe this is fitting. The occasion is fitting since I actually just got confirmed by the NFA Council yesterday, and now I'm already not acting administrator, but a full-fledged administrator already. So first of all, I would like to Ernie asked me, to tell something a little about myself. Basically, I grew up in Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro. I studied my grade school and high school in Xavier University, and then transferred to Manila to take up my college degree. Basically in math in Ateneo de Manila, and then simultaneously I took up also a statistical course, a statistical program of UP Diliman. It was part of my quest to really prepare myself more on the discipline of data science, at that time. So more on applied math. But little did I know then that my life would revolve around agriculture. So since then, I've been a farmer by heart. And corn is my main focus. And lately, I've been focusing on environmental works, especially working with our IP communities to develop propagation of bamboo. But anyhow, I was called to this opportunity to serve in government late last year, and I took the offer to work for NFA as the administrator. And for this morning, I would like to show, if I may, Ka-Ernie already. So present my our program with NFA.
Just for the record,
Two major components of our transformation. One is the digital, and then the other is physical. No, so for the digital transformation, we would refer this from we're going to change the way we operate, no, from a regulatory agency to food security intelligence. No? So, and this is critical in the program of PBBM, because digital transformation is front and center in his program. And we put this as a priority in our performance as our role as NFA. No? The other is physical, of course, as mandated in the existence of NFA under PD4 and as amended with the rice tarification law. Our function of buffering is actually more emphasized. No, instead of merely before we import our buffer stock, we rely on importation on a buffer stock. Under the that rice tarification law, we can only buffer from local source. No? And this is actually a big advantage for our farmers, because government now will focus more in modernizing and addressing post-harvest and storage. No? Make sure that we will have the infrastructure, no, to address food security, and I will explain this further in my later slides. Next slide, please. Can we have the next slide? So for digital transformation, we refer this to the institutionalization of SARAI. You know, SARAI is a smarter approaches to reinvigorate agricultural industries of the Philippines. And with SARAI, our goal is actually to come up with national integrated monitoring and forecasting of agriculture. So this is the part that we would like to make sure that we will have innovative and modern tools in forecasting agriculture, especially when related to our food security. And for this, we have to use GIS-based systems for remote sensing and use AI and machine learning and enterprise resource planning technologies as a standard tool for operating, planning, decision-making, policy-making. So this is basically a satellite technology, you know, that we will put into use as our major platform. Next slide, please. So for SARAI, there are 10 key components. These are the 10 key components, and I will be going again and again about these features. No, but just to iterate the 10 components. So National Food Security Data Center, which we are going to put up here in our central office in NFA Quezon City, and we have actually a mirror in UPLB, no? University of Philippines, Los Baños, where most of our scientists are actually based. And then second is the GIS-based farm registry system. So this is a little bit, the farm registry is a little bit different from the RSBSA, which the Department of Agriculture is using, we're introducing a smarter approach for this farm registry, and I'll go back to that later. Third is agricultural land use optimization modeling, and this is actually a critical tool for us. Like for example, we're going to develop Palawan as one of our base for rice production and to address our buffer stock. No? And we're looking at how the expansion of rice production in Palawan should go about, no, using satellite sensing technologies. We're also looking at northern part of Cebu, where 2 sugar mills closed down, and we're looking at how we can transform the sugar areas into other use, no, especially for rice and corn. So this number 3 features, a component of the Saray program is critical. Make sure that we will be able to plan out properly. Number 4 is early warning system for weather events, which is closely related also to number 5, no? Including application for parametric insurance. And this is going to be a global norm when it comes to the insurance industry for agriculture. So number 6, agricultural extension platform. Of course, we still need to have a connected system wherein our farmers will still be able to engage directly with a technical group via internet. 7 is geolocated market information system. 8, targeted e-subsidy system. 9, digitized storage and logistics facilities. This 7, 8, 9 is closely related to how we operate here in NFA. And then number 10 is the digital food balance sheet. Next slide, please. So for the farm registry system, as I've mentioned, this will be a little different from the way PSA designed the registry system for basic sector of agriculture. Our takeoff point in the data is the cultivated parcel. So the role of Saray program under NFA is to digitize all the cultivated parcels visible from the satellite pictures and assign them a unique ID number, no? Parcel ID number. And we work closely with national agencies like NIA, PCA, SRA, National Tobacco to make sure that we will be able to identify who are farming in these parcels, no? Who are the crop owners. And we will also partner with the local government to make sure that we will be able to fill the parcellary IDs with who are the crop owners. And this way we will be able to generate the master list of farmers. So our basis is the evidence first, no, which is the parcel, and then locate who is the crop owner so that we will be able to generate the master list of farmers. So this is basically different from the methodology of PSA, wherein the RSBSA is mainly initially based on interview, no, directly from farmers, and then you provide the evidence, no. And we have some serious issues with that, no. So this methodology will provide us a more measurable and verifiable system, no? And as emphasized by Malacanang, we have to also focus more on the connectivity issues with the farmers. So it's not just going to be measurable and verifiable, but also connected. Next slide, please. Sorry, in that slide, you can actually see how each cultivated parcels are, the boundary of the cultivated parcels are clearly identified. No? And this is part of our program with Sarai to increase also the precision of Sarai when it comes to monitoring and forecasting. Now, in relation, when we do the crop estimation, it's actually a dynamic life cycle, no? From the pre-season, wherein we have to conduct intention to plant. The moment that the satellite, which can visit us every 2 weeks, and the moment we detect that farmers are preparing their field and they are registered, if they are registered in our registry system, we can connect to them and ask them their intention to plant. The planting intention is very, very important so that we will be able to detect changes early on. No? If there will be low planting intention, we should immediately intervene, like in the distribution of subsidy for fertilizers and seeds, no? Just to keep the planting intention positive. No? So, and this is one of critical measure actually also being used by NFA. The difference is that we're going to provide a bigger number of samples, no, or participants in the intention to plant survey. Next slide. Sorry, number 2, planting season, we can use seeds and fertilizer sales. No? And these are seeds and fertilizer sales is actually a very important predictor variable. No? And part of the performance of the farmers can actually be monitored, no? In terms of commercial seeds and fertilizer sales trend. So if we can see the trend, for example, going down significantly, like what happened in the first half of 2022, we should be able to react immediately, no, correct the problem. 60% of our importation of fertilizer is usually done during the first half of the year, and then second half is 40%. And like what happened in first half of 2022, when there was a big drop of fertilizer importation, we sounded the alarm immediately, you know, that we need to do more aggressive intervention when it comes to fertilizer subsidy, so that we will be able to cope with our production targets. Third estimation is during the growing period, we use satellite imagery like I presented earlier, wherein we will be able to use the algorithms of Sarai using that normalized differential of vegetative index, or NDVI. You know? Using NDVI, we will be able to differentiate, no, and identify corn from sugarcane, from rice, so that we will be able to. We also use the identify the crop based on its morphology, no, and also monitor crop health based on normal morphology of the plant. No? Like for example, sa corn, 60 days after planting, it should pollinate. No? And 105, 110 days later, it is due for harvest. So there's a good way for us to be able to monitor and measure production. Number 4 is a mid-season period, which I've said, yung pollination survey, which is very critical, whether pollination is actually normal. So if there's some abnormality in the pollination, especially during an El Nino event, or if there's typhoon, then we should be able to adjust our forecast. And then, of course, and the last is during the harvest season, we use crop disappearance. No? Crop disappearance meaning after 105, 110 days of from planting, we will be able to monitor if indeed the crop disappeared on time. No? If it disappeared prematurely, then there's something wrong with the growing cycle of the plant. No? So, and then based on this, we should be able to, again, adjust our forecast. So, this is in line with our endeavor to come up with the National Food Balance Sheet, no? Which is basically an equation of local production plus importation is equal to consumption. So we always try to balance what's the present demand with projection of the local production and monitoring the importation, no? And hopefully importation would come in at the proper time. Next slide, please. And this is how we actually look at the time series of our production. And I normally, go through this exercise with our management team. When I was with Mindanao Grains before, and now with NFA, we use the same technique. No? This is an illustration on how we will be able to visualize what's really happening in the market. And I think this is one of the key skills that we need to develop among our managers, especially the regional managers in NFA. When we look at production, the bell actually is our production curve. And as you can see in the slide, the September to November is the main crop during the wet season. And 4 or 5 months later, we have another harvest, which is a smaller bell, which is 40% of our production. And under that bell, we have this price curve. If you can see the price curve. So initially, we try to introduce 19 pesos as our guaranteed price for the farmers so that during the peak harvest season, as you can see, the price actually goes down. No? So,
Diyan na ano pa ata. Na-scroll back po ata yung...
can you go back to that slide?
Yung nakikita po namin is yung sasaray yung sa map. Can we go back to the slide with the bell curves? Tama po ba? Right?
Yeah, go forward. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Sir, my apologies. Nagahang lang po yung PC.
Sige. Let's go back to the slide with the bell curve.
Focus mo daw.
Okay. All right, we're done. Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, this is really the visualization of this slide is very important among us here in NFA. So we're trying to can you see clearly the slide, the whiteboard?
Yes, although Rod, the PowerPoint is all right na rin.
Okay. So, kasi I'm just going to point out na ito yung production curve and this is the price curve. No? So, the price curve normally goes down, no, coinciding with the peak season. So, and our role as NFA is to make sure under the Republic Act 7607 is to make sure that we provide a guaranteed price, no, so that we can flatten this price curve, no, during the peak season. So when the production peaks, normally the price dips, no, and with our intervention function, for example, for rice, we buy at 19 pesos per kilo. We are hoping that we could flatten this price curve, no, to around 19. But oftentimes, right now, prices still go down, no, because we still have issues with post-harvest. So when the farmers cannot dry their grains, they're at the mercy, no, of the market. And normally, because of that lack of post-harvest facilities, prices still go down, no? Despite our intervention price of 19 pesos. Many of the farmers couldn't enter into the system of NFA because of lack of post-harvest. And this is what we're trying to correct now by introducing more post-harvest facilities. Make sure that that post-harvest concern which is not supposed to be the role of the farmer, no? Dapat a private sector or government, if the private sector cannot put in enough investment, government should come in. And in the program of PBBM, we're actually going to encourage more private investment in post-harvest by guaranteeing offtake of these investments through PPP. No? And then during the production cycle, when we go into the second cropping, the production curve, you know, which is a bell, is actually a smaller bell during the dry season crop. No? And normally prices will be more elevated during that period. And this is why we're also trying to address what should be our role during this period, no? When prices are already at around 23, 24 pesos. And for us in NFA, our role is really during this wet season crop, when the volume is much bigger and prices tend to go lower. But during the dry season, we limit our participation here because the prices are already elevated, especially now that prices are around 23, 24. And any participation of NFA because of our breadth and extent, no, we will just put more inflationary pressure during this period if we participate. Our mere announcement actually to elevate our prices will actually already aggravate the situation. But anyhow, looking back at our wet season crop, the wet season crop is actually good for about 5 to 6 months. No? So it will go all the way here. No? But the production in terms of time difference is only 4 to 5 months. And this second crop, which is about 3 to 4 months of supply, there is an overlap. No? So ito yung overlap. Yeah. And this overlap should be what is our role. And that is to buffer that overlap. So, and to make sure that that buffer will stay all the way to the lean season of July, August, September. So this is where it becomes very, very critical for us to provide the proper infrastructure for storage, preservation and storage of our grain supply to make sure that we will be able to bring that supply to the lean season. And again, we are constrained to operate during this period so that we will not put unnecessary inflationary pressure during this second cropping or the summer crop. And then in between, there are calamities involved. No? And from September to December, and actually it's from July to December, is our main calamity period. Although it's spilling over now to even January, February because of climate change. Again, also, it's critical for us to be more relevant during the wet season, especially during El Nino cycle, because we'll never know how big this dry season crop. And the dry season crop during El Nino can easily drop into a much smaller production bell and narrower. No? So the critical period of, instead of 2 to 3 months, it becomes 1 to 2 months only. No? And for that event, our only chance to be able to address food security is to be able to buffer earlier. No? So this is where forecasting is very, very critical in our operation. So when we buffer during the lean season, for the lean season, we make sure that our supply will be able to address our calamity, no? Our calamity relief requirements all the way to December, so that this volume will not be interfering with the buffering of the new production cycle, so that whatever relief operation we would require, we do not dig into the new supply. We dig from our old supply. So this is basically our reason of existence as a NFA. Slide, please. The next slide. So we do the buffer stock. No? For immediate goal of the president, it's 15 plus 9 days. No? So 15 days for the actual buffer, and 9 days is the volume that we have to, that's established volume based on historical numbers. The volume of actual relief operation that we would require. No? So on top of the relief operation, we should be able to generate 15 days, no? Which is the real buffer for a super event. No? So it cannot be that we simply just buffer for 9 days. No? And this is what we're trying to correct now and reset our targets. So it's not, when the president says 15 days at any given time, during the wet season crop, we try to endeavor to buy 15 plus 9 days. So in terms of volume, that is 870,000 tons of rice, or about 1.38 million metric tons of palay. For the midterm goal, 2026 to 2028, our goal is for at least 30 days at any given time, plus the 9 days that we have to provide for actual damages. No? And that will be equal to 1.5 million metric tons of rice or 2.3 million metric tons of palay. And for the long term, so this is post administration of PBBM, we will require 100 days, no, or 4 million metric tons of rice, which is equivalent to 6 million, more or less 6 million metric tons of palay. Next slide, please. So for us to be able to buffer, the direction that the president wants is actually through PPP. No? So the investment framework should be designed, built, financed, maintained, operate, own. No? This is a model being used widely by World Bank, initially with India, and then also applied in other parts of the world like Pakistan, Bangladesh. And this is the same model that we've been trying to introduce since 2010 in the Philippines. Unfortunately, only during this time, it is given more attention, given interest by our national government. So in terms of operation, NFA would focus on the origination of the stock, post-production, post-harvest, storage, milling, and distribution. Production is mainly actually a function of the Department of Agriculture, and in the case of rice, the rice program under USEC, Dr. Leo Sebastian. And our role is to make sure that we will be able to coordinate from production to the post-harvest, and then storage and preservation, milling, and the distribution of the milled rice. But the actual distribution, this time we're going to make a key difference in how we operate now. We will distribute all our stocks through DSWD. So DSWD basically has two major functions: calamity relief and poverty reduction. When we look at our buffer and relate it to calamity, actually it's a perceived risk. We may be able to measure what is our actual damage based on historical values, but we cannot rely on simply just the historical values, because the effect of climate change is actually more far-reaching, and we have to endeavor a significant and effective buffer stock. Our goal of 15 days to 30 days during the administration of President Bongbong Marcos is actually very modest. And if we relate that target to other countries, actually most countries are already preparing for 12 months. So our program actually, which is initially targeted at a very low level compared to global norms, which is 12 months. And yet, actually, for what is practically achievable, probably, given the appetite for risk in the Philippines, our long-term goal is actually good, is only for 90 days. So, and just to give an idea of the magnitude of investment that would be required for the 30-day buffer stock, the infrastructure alone would cost us at least 150 billion for us to be able to dry and store 3 million tons, which is the volume level that we need to provide for at least 1 month of consumption. Next slide, please. I think that's all. I removed many of the slides, but I would be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Okay, sige. So thank you very much.
Na lang. Sound content.
Hello. Oops. I'll just mute you first. Anyway, yeah. So thank you very much for that, Sir Ron. It's a very enlightening presentation, and I'm sure many people have a lot of questions. It is unfortunately 9 o'clock, so we do end our formal session at 9, but after that we have our informal session to have all of the questions for to have a more free flowing discussion. So hanggang ano oras po kayo pwede yun, for questions.
10 o'clock
Hello po.
ata.
10 o'clock. You can stay with us until 10.
Okay.
Rod?
Actually, Ka-Ernie
Yeah,
and
okay,
I have
sige,
been
thank
talking
you so
about
much.
this for a long time already, no? So this is something that we normally talk about, no? So the difference is that many of our ideas can be implemented already, now that I am here with NFA, no? So the task is quite huge actually, no? Because we underinvested in the last 40 years, no? So now that we're trying to play catch up, the magnitude of investment is actually, something very daunting, and it would seem unachievable, no? But then if we relate it to the global norms now, it's actually very, very modest.
Okay, sige po. So, for now, let's end first our formal session with a first a quick appreciation for Rector Rod. Um, yes, okay. So the Management Association, the Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation of the Philippines, in partnership with Management Association of the Philippines, together with special partner institutions, senior special partner institutions, corporate members, and individual members, present the certificate of appreciation to Roderico Arbioco for his invaluable support in the advocacy and promotion of agribusiness and countryside specialties, and for his commendable and unselfish services rendered to this foundation as our research team. Given today, the 28th day of March 2023, on our 10th weekly meeting online, but in a happy city. Sign myself as our chairman. And so for those of you who do need to go ahead, let's just give ourselves a little bit of time. We'd like to take a picture with everyone first. So maybe please ask everyone to open your cameras. Big smiles. And Maki, can you count us in?
Okay, focus
Sure
mo
po. Okay po. Pa-open na lang po ng camera po. Okay po, we have 2 frames po. Yung unang frames po muna. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay po, second frame na po. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay po, thank you po.
Okay, and please stay tuned. We have our session for next week. For those of you who do need to go ahead, thank you very much for joining us. This does end our formal session. Please do join us next week. We have another very interesting topic. Thanks again, Bernie. Muntinlupa City's 1 million loans lent interest free to over 7,000, well, 7,533 applicants. So an interesting project for small, what do you call it? Micro, small, and medium enterprises like this. So this is something that I think would be of value to us, especially when it comes to possible programs for countries like agribusiness and like that. Okay, so for those of you who do have to go ahead, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. For those of you who can stay for an informal session, I think it's going to be quite the interesting discussion together with Rod. But anyway, for those of you who have to go ahead, thank you very much and see you.